Good day, everyone, and welcome to our informative forum presentation. My name is Devendran, and I'm the moderator for this forum. And I will introduce the panelists. First off,
Dr. Derwin, who is our metallurgical scientist. And next off is Mr. Richie, who is our senior field reporter for TV3 Malaysia. And next off is Dr. Divya Dashini as the safety officer. And last and foremost, Mr. Praveen, who is the environmental specialist. Today we will be discussing a fascinating yet potential hazardous natural phenomenon, the water spot. We will explore from a scientific, safety, real world, and environmental point of view. Now, many of us may have seen videos of spinning funnels over the seas and mistaken them for tornadoes. But what exactly causes them to form over water? And how are they different from tornadoes? To help us understand the information and characteristics of water sport, I'd like to begin by inviting Derwin, our group scientist. Derwin, could you walk us through how water sport form and the science behind them?
Thank you very much, Mr. Devendran. So, water sports are indeed a fascinating and complex weather phenomenon that blends the beauty and unpredictability of the nature. Scientifically speaking, a water spout is an intense column of rotating air and mist that appears over a body of water. Although they resemble tornadoes in appearance, waterspouts are quite different in terms of their formation processes, structure, and also their overall intensity. There are generally two types of waterspouts: fair weather waterspouts and tornadic waterspout. Fair weather waterspouts, as the name suggests, they occur in relatively calm and clear weather conditions. These typically develop over warm, open waters during late mornings or early afternoons when the sun has heated the surface enough to cause the instability. They form when warm, moist air near the surface rises and cools as it moves upward into the base of the cumulus cloud, unlike tornado, which forms from the cloud downwards. Fair weather waterspouts form from the surface of the water upwards to the cloud. So these types are non-supercell in nature, meaning they are not associated with powerful thunderstorm systems. Although visually stunning, they are generally less destructive and tend to dissipate very quickly. Uh, in contrast, tornadic waterspouts are far more dangerous and structurally similar to tornadoes. These originate from powerful cumulonimbus clouds during severe thunderstorms. They begin in the sky and extend downwards towards the water surface, much like a traditional tornado. These waterspout involve strong updrafts, intense wind shear, and also they are usually accompanied by lightning, heavy rain, and sometimes hail. If a tornadic waterspout moves onshore, it can bring damaging winds and pose serious threat to life and property, especially to coastal communities and smaller marine vessels. Now, how do waterspouts actually form? It all comes down to atmospheric instability. When there is a sharp contrast between the warm temperature of the sea surface and the cooler air above, it creates a perfect environment for vertical air movement. This rising warm air generates an updraft. If there's a sufficient wind shear, there is a variation of wind speed and direction with altitude, it can induce rotation in the rising air column. This rotating air is then stretched vertically up by the upward motion, tightening the spin and also forming a distinct funnel shape as we recognize as a water spout. So, as a fun fact, a particularly interesting and rare side effect of water spouts involves a phenomenon known as animal rain. Because of the strong upward winds within the water spout, it is possible for small marine animals such as fish, frogs, or even crustaceans to be sucked up into the vortex. In some documented cases, these creatures have been carried high into the sky and deposited over the land, falling alongside rain during storms. While it may sound like a folklore, this event is supported by scientific evidence and illustrates just how surprising it is and powerful nature can be. So, basically, in summary, water sports are natural wonders that occur under specific conditions of heat, moisture, and wind dynamics. Whether benign or severe, they remind us of the atmosphere's complexity and the need to understand these phenomena better, especially in coastal and maritime regions where they pose a direct risk.
That's a great breakdown, Devin. Now we understand the formation, and I like to ask: are there any tool or techniques used to predict when the water spots may occur?
Yes, meteorologists use radar, satellite imaging, and also weather models to identify favorable conditions for the water spouts, especially in regions prone to tropical moisture and heat. However, fair weather water spouts are harder to detect due to their short lifespan and also their formation in very low radar reflectivity areas. This is why local observations and maritime warnings plays a very good key role.
That's interesting, Kelvin. Since these water sports seems to occur more frequently in warmer oceans, will you say that the rising global temperature are making them more common?
Absolutely, Praveen. Warmer ocean surfaces increases atmospheric instability, especially in tropical zones. This, in turn, creates more favorable conditions for water sport to develop, even in areas where they were previously rare.
Okay, thanks for the exchange, both of you. Now let's look how these phenomena impact human life and how authorities respond. Richie, as our reporter, you have studied real world example, right, of water sports. Could you tell us about how some significant incident?
Of course, thank you once again, Mr. Dimitran. To better understand the impact of water sport beyond the visual spectacle, it's essential to examine how they have affected real communities and marine operation. I've rated three notable cases that highlights both the immediate and secondary effect of water sport on the environment, tourism, and local infrastructure. Let's begin with the Florida Key in United States, a region highly susceptible to water sports. Due to its warm, tropical water and frequently conservative weather in July 2022, a massive water sport rapidly formed just off the coast. It's appeared without much warnings, which is typical for freshwater water sport and driven close to polluted beach. The suddenness of the event triggered panics among beachgoers and fishing crew. Water were forced to change courses, and the U.S. Coast Guard had to issue emergency alerts to nearby vessels. While fortunately no structural damage or injuries were reported, the event served as a reminder of how quickly conditions at sea can change and how even a not destructive water sport can disrupt recreational and commercial marine activity. So the another significant incident took place in Corfu Greece in October 2021. A larger water sport promenade of offshore during unstable weather conditions and moved closer to the coastline. Thought it did not make direct rainfall. It was accompanied by heavy rainfall that led to locusts flooding in coastal area. Ferry service was suspended as precaution, and minor property damage was reported in nearby homes, particularly in low-lying area. This example associated with water sports such as storm surge, flooding, and transportation interruption, even if the vortex itself never reaches land. This real-world example show that the impact of water sport instead well beyond the visual presence. The, the potential to disrupt marine traffic, coast, coastal safety, tourism, and daily routine can be significant, especially when preparedness is low or when they occur near populated shorelines. With growing evidence of climate variability, coastal community may needs to exchange monitoring system and emergency response protocol to better manage such spontaneous weather events.
Richie, how about the Langkawi case you mentioned earlier? Could you explain that incident in more detail? What exactly happened and how did the authorities handle it?
Of course, Divya, the Langkawi water sports incident happened in September 2019 at Pantai Cenang, one of the most popular beaches in Malaysia. A fairweather water sports suddenly formed near the shore during the afternoon while many tourists was aware at the beach. Video of the event quickly went viral. The water sport did not make rainfall, but its promiscuity caused strong wind at that over, overturned beach umbrella, cutter like with objective and threatened the public. So the local authorities reacted quickly by ordering people to move away from the beach. At the lifeguard coordinated with the nearby vendor to shut down beach activity. Thankfully, no one was injured, but the situation could have turned dangerous if it had moved just a little further inland. This case shows that even weaker water sports still needs to take to be taken seriously. Early evacuation really made it differences in keeping everyone safe.
Excellent point, Richie. Now let's focus our attention to safety. Now, Dr. Diodashini, our safety officer, what are the key safety measures people should follow if there were ever encounters water sport? Especially while at sea?
Thank you, Devendran. As much as water sport may capture our curiosity, it's crucial to understand that they can pose serious threats to safety, especially for boaters, fishermen, and residents along coastal areas. Their sudden formation, unpredictable movement, and potential to transition into tornadic condition make them particularly hazardous. The golden rule when encountering a water sport is simple. Never approach it under any circumstance. This rotating column of air can shift direction quickly, increase in strength within movement, and cause severe damage if they make landfall. If you spot a water spot right at the sea or along the shoreline, the recommended response is to change direction and move away from its path at the right angle. Attempting to outrun it directly is not advisable, as its track can change unpredictably and a direct retreat could lead you into its path. For those operating boats, especially smaller or non-motorized vessels, the risk is particularly high. Anchored boats are extremely vulnerable as they lack of the mobility to escape. In such cases, boat operators should immediately unanchor the steer away cautiously, keeping a watchful eye off on the water sport path. Avoid panic, but the swiftly being caught in or near the funnel can lead to capsizing injuries or worse. For individuals on the beach or shoreline, it's important to evacuate the area as soon as a water spot is spotted. Many people are tempted to stay and take photos or videos due to the visual appeal of this phenomena. However, the behavior placed them directly its harm way. Even water spots that appear weak can cause injuries from flying debris, sudden gusts, and waves stirred up by their rotation. Preparedness is key. With today's technology, mobile applications like Windy, AccuWeather, and MyRadar, and Ventasky offer real-time weather monitoring, wind patterns, and radar imaging. These tools are particularly useful for coastal communities and mariners who rely up to date weather alerts. In countries like US and the National Weather Service issues frequent marine weather warnings and even tornado alerts in areas susceptible to water sport. In Malaysia, although water sports are less common as they have been observed more frequently in recent years, especially in areas like Kedah, Sabah, and along the Straits of Malacca. While national warning systems are improving, there is still a strong need to raise awareness among fishermen, beach operators, and local residents. Educating the public on what to do and where to seek shelter is critical. If the waterspot moves inland, it effectively becomes a tornado, often bringing strong winds and causing structural damage. In such scenarios, the recommended action is to seek shelter indoors, preferably in a basement or interior room, and to stay away from windows and glasses door. To remain in mobile homes or cars, as these structures offer little protection. Instead, head to the nearest story building if time permits. Ultimately, a wild water sport may be rare and short-lived. Their effects can be devastating if not taken seriously. Preparedness, early detection, and calm decision making make a significant difference in ensuring the safety of individuals and communities near the sea.
So, Miss Divya, you mentioned about evacuations. What about fishermen far from the shore? Do they get enough warnings?
That's a very important point. Unfortunately, small fishermen often rely on traditional knowledge or basis radios. This is why community awareness and early warning systems through apps and maritime radio are essential, especially in rural fishing communities.
Very fantastic advice, Dr. Diodashni. Now, Mr. Praveen, our environmental specialist, how do water sport tie into broader environmental concerns? Are there lasting impact on the nature and the ecosystem in the water sports?
Thank you, Mr. Devendran. While water sports are typically brief and localized events, their environmental implications, especially in the context of climate change and marine ecosystems, should not be underestimated. To begin with, the increasing frequency of water sports in recent years appears to align with the broader climate change trends. As a global temperature rise, oceans can absorb a significant portion of this heat. Warmer sea surface that temperature lead to greater evaporation and more energy stored in lower atmosphere. This can increase the instability, provides a favorable conditions for atmospheric phenomena like water sport, particularly in the tropical or subtropical and subtropical regions. Here in the Southeast Asia, for example, we are already seeing signs of increased water sport activity in places in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippines, suggesting that the climate shift are altering weather behavior in the coastal zones. Environmentally, water sports can cause a disruption to the delicate balance of a marine ecosystem, even if only temporarily. When a water sport forms or touches the surface of the ocean, it churns up water and sediment, disturbing the upper layer of the marine food chain. This action can displace or injure the microscopic plankton, which are foundation of aquatic ecosystem. Even a minor turbulence in a sensitive coastal areas or near coastal reefs can disrupt the habitat for small fish, invertebrates. The small scale disturbances, when compounded over time or occurring in already a fragile ecosystem, may lead to long-term consequences in a biodiversity and ecological resilience. Moreover, the fishing industry, particularly like small-scale coastal fisheries, is directly affected by water sport. Their sudden formation can damage the boat, gear, and aquaculture equipment, resulting in unexpected loss. Fishers who operate without access to modern forecasting tools may find themselves exposed to life-threatening conditions in areas that are already economically vulnerable, such as island communities or fishing villages. Frequent occurrence of water sport can reduce a fish yield, damage livelihoods, and contribute to economic strain. These weather events therefore not only affect the ecosystem but also have a human cost often felt more strongly by those dependent on the sea for their survival. There is also a growing interest in understanding the broader meteorological role of water sport. Some climate scientists speculate that water sports might assist in redistributing heat and moisture across the atmosphere, acting as a natural ventilation system. The theory suggests that that the, that by drawing a warm, moist air upward, a water sport could potentially play a role in balancing the regional energy imbalance. However, this remains an emerging area of research, and more studies are needed to confirm the extent of their influence. In any case, as a climate patterns continue to shift, water sports are likely to become a more frequent feature in discussion around the coastal safety, environmental management, and marine sustainability. Coastal planning is a future will need to account not only for rising sea levels and a stronger storms, but also spontaneous atmospheric phenomena like water sport, which can interrupt economic activity, affect the ecosystem, and pose direct threats to human safety. Ultimately, these seemingly brief and isolated weather events are part of much larger environmental narrative. Understanding them in the context of climate science is key to building more resilient coastal and marine communities in the years ahead.
Mr. Praveen, do you think our current environmental policy in Malaysia are enough to manage the risk posed by water sport?
Okay, at the moment, awareness is still low, while there are general weather preparedness guidelines and more targeted coastal risk management strategies are needed, especially in tourism and fishing hotspot like Langkawi or Sabah.
Thank you to all the panelists for your valuable input. From this forum, we have learned that water spout, while visually captivating, carry real risk to people, ecosystems, and livelihoods. Throughout understanding their formation, learning from past events, staying prepared with safety measures, and recognizing the environmental impact, we can better adapt to these powerful natural forces. On behalf of our group three, thank you for all your attention. Stay informed, stay safe, and remember, nature's beauty often comes with hidden power. That's all, and thank you.